So welcome everyone to this session from distraction to focus. And actually, today the situation is that there is distraction all around. And sometimes, surveys have been done and they found out that almost 70% of the workers, they're completely uh, surrounded by distraction. And it is estimated that lot of money is actually being wasted just because of people's inability to control their own minds, and because of always being surrounded by distractions, not being able to focus on decision making in meetings, not being able to decide what is the right thing to do in their own lives. So much damage is being done today just because uh, the mind is distracted and nobody knows how to go ahead. So what kind of uh, traffic are we talking about? So just to give you an idea, we talk about present, past, and future. So this is this Nobel Prize winning psychologist Daniel Kahneman, who says that actually what is present? Present psychologically, he says it is a gap of 3 seconds. So anything more than 3 seconds, he says you already have shifted into the future, or you already have to, you're thinking about the past. So the present is only 3 seconds, which means every 3 seconds, the present is changing inside our minds. So now, if you equate it, 3 seconds is one understanding of present. And if you give it an equivalent of one thought. So for an average person, let's say 8 hours of sleep in 24 hours. So 16 hours, an average person is active. So accepting that there is only one thought during each psychological present, we come to roughly 20,000 thoughts in an average day. So think about it, all of us, once in 3 seconds, also, if we think, then it is roughly 20,000 thoughts. And sometimes when we are more agitated, it could be more than that. Sometimes it could be a little less, but on an average. So can you imagine the kind of traffic that we are dealing with? So many thoughts going and coming. And just to look at this picture on the screen, you will understand this is too much. How can we deal with this? But this is exactly what is happening to our minds every day as we go ahead in life. So there is a very beautiful shloka in the Bhagavad Gita, and this is spoken by Arjun describing the mind to Krishna. So he's saying, Chanchalam hi manah Krishna pramathi balavadridham tasyaham nigraham manne vayoriva sudushkaram. Vayoriva sudushkaram means, he says, it is very difficult. It is more difficult than controlling the wind. So he's using 4 words: Chanchal, Pramati, Balavat, and Dridham. And we'll check out these words. So first, Arjun is saying, my mind is very chanchal. Just like the butterfly cannot sit on a single flower for more than 3 or 4 seconds. And even when it is sitting on the flower, its wings are always flapping. The wings are always moving. Another example of chanchal is that whenever an elephant is standing still, the ears of the elephant are always moving. So these are two graphic examples of chanchal, what it means to be chanchal. And Arjun in this shloka is telling Krishna that actually my mind is chanchal like this. The second word that he uses is pramathi. Pramathi word comes from the word manthan. So when we are churning, जेव्हा आपण घुसळत असतो दही आणि त्याच्यातून लोणी काढायचा प्रयत्न करतो, तर त्याला म्हणतात मंथन करणे. सो त्याच्यातून हा एक शब्द निघालाय प्रमाथी. सो this is manthan. Sometimes, in our stomach there is some manthan that happens. So manthan in dahi is very good. It leads to butter, it leads to buttermilk. But similar manthan, if it happens in our stomach, then there is problem. Now think about it. Just hold on. And think about it that sometimes something similar happens in the sky above. So the process is the same. In all these three pictures, the process is the same. There is a lot of churning going on, but this is favorable churning and this is not so favorable churning. And in the sky, when it happens, it leads to a lot of damage, is it not? So similarly, in our mind also, there is so much churning going on, so many thoughts being churned. What did he say? What did she say? What did I plan to do today morning? I was not able to do it. So all of us have so many thoughts. There are some plans, there are some hopes, there are some ideals, and we want to achieve that. So all these churning is going on. It's not just a single thought. I wanted to do, but I could not do. I did not want to do, but I had to do. By evening, I want to do this. And yesterday evening, I wanted to do it. So all these thoughts, all our hopes, all our feelings, everything is getting churned in a mixer in the mind. So you can just imagine what is going on. The third word which Arjun uses in this shloka is that Balavat. Balavat means very strong. And sometimes in schools, we see how there is some kind of bullying going on. In Marathi, it will be called Dadagiri. So some boy who is more strong, who has some more uh, power in his hands, he will always do some uh, bullying with some juniors. So Arjun is telling Krishna, this mind is also like that. Just because it is powerful, it tries to overpower me and it will not allow me to function properly. And then the fourth word which Arjun uses is dridham. Dridham means Marathi मध्ये पण आपण दृढ म्हणतो. So this person want to move. कितीही काही करा हा काही हलणार नाही. आणि कधी कधी घरी असं आपण बघतो की when you tell some kids and these kids are totally frustrated or these kids don't want to do it, then they will put their hands in their ears and they will say, I am not going to obey you. You understand this? So this is called dridham. And actually the mind is, in terms of its strength, like the elephant. In terms of churning, it's like a cyclone. Sometimes people say like that. माझ्या मनात सध्या वादळ चालू आहे. So we admit it. Balavat, we usually don't admit that the mind is very powerful. And dridham also we say, की काय हट्टी मुलगा आहे हा, काय हट्टी माणूस आहे हा, हा अजिबात दुसऱ्यांचं काय ऐकून घेत नाही. Something like that. So we can remember this very simply. MIND, M is mighty, I is intoxicated. It means, there is so much churning going on. It does not understand what is right, what is wrong. N you can relate it to nomadic. Nomadic tribes म्हणजे भटकी जमात. ते नेहमी हलत असतात, नेहमी प्रवास करत असतात. So chanchalam असतात. And D is disobedient. So in this way we understand Arjun in one shloka in the Gita has basically decoded the whole structure of the mind and the whole working of the mind. And here we are trying to do something which even Arjun said it's very difficult for him to do. Arjun said, I can control the wind, but do not ask me to control the mind. And look at all of us. All of us have a desire to control the mind. So is it possible? Let's check it out. So till now, we discussed about the difficult side of the mind, how the mind is very difficult to control and like that. On the other hand, let's go through some positive side of the mind. On the screen is written some sentence. And if you find it difficult to read, you can unmute yourself and say, I find it difficult to read. So please go through what is written on your screen and tell me if you find it difficult to read. If you find it easy to read, you can unmute and say easy to read. Would anybody like to unmute and speak? If it's easy, you say easy. If you find it difficult, you say difficult.
Difficult.
Easy.
Okay.
Easy.
Difficult.
Okay.
Easy.
Okay, so
Easy.
they did this research, and what they found out is if you maintain the first letter of the word and the last letter of the word right, then the order of the letters in between does not impact heavily. There is an impact. There will be a reduction in the speed in which you're reading, but it won't be heavy. So all these words on the screen, actually the first letter of the word and last letter of the word are the same, and in between there is some change, but still all of you are able to read it. Some are saying difficult, some are saying easy, but can you imagine that you are all able to read this? Actually, not a single not a single word here is made up of the same spelling, except if you see there are some three letter words. There is a word the, there is a word can. So can, the first letter and the last letter you cannot change, so the middle letter stays the same. Can is can. Otherwise, every single word here, WORD, is written here, last line, WROD. So it's very interesting that all these words have huge spelling mistakes, but still all of you were able to read it. And this is also mind power, that the mind can fill in for the gaps where there are gaps. So there is a negative side of the mind. It's very obstinate, it is very strong, it is very chanchal, and it is very dridam, it won't move. But there is also a positive side, that the mind is so smart and the mind is so fast that even if the spellings are wrong, it can make it up. And now I'll show you something which shows how the both aspects, the challenging aspect of the mind and the positive, strong aspect of the mind, can be together. So I'm presenting an analogy considering the mind as a remote control. So on a typical remote control for our television, can anybody just quickly unmute and tell me some of the buttons that are there on the the remote control? Maybe you use it for cable TV or something. Anyways, typical buttons are rewind, forward if you're watching some movie or something like that. And there is some contrast button for the screen. There is a brightness button on the screen. There is a volume up and down. And definitely there is a change channel button on the remote control. So if you look at your mind, then this mind also is like a remote control. And sometimes we can press some buttons on this mind. So what is the rewind and forward? Rewind means you go into the past. So you're watching a television show. For the men, I can use an example that you're watching an IPL match, 15 overs already over, but then you remember, अरे वो fifth over में कौन सा sixer मारा था? You want to see it again. So you rewind the show. And sometimes, you just want to go ahead. The recording is going on, but you already know the outcome of the match. So you want to go ahead. Or, some Saas Bahu serial, somebody's watching. You want to go into the past, you want to go into the future. So sometimes the mind also, it makes us rewind into the past. So I'm comparing it to action replay or analyze the past. 10 वर्षाचा होतो तेव्हा काय झालं होतं, शाळेमध्ये काय झालं होतं, we keep thinking about it so much. And sometimes when we want to fast forward, actually the future has not happened, but then we are daydreaming. 10 वर्षांनी मी इथे असीन, 12 वर्षांनी मी हे करणार, मुलं मोठी झाल्यावर मी असं करणार. So that's called daydreaming. Contrast means, the colors, how they contrast with each other. So when we increase the contrast, actually on your television, if you're watching this on your television, then you can check out. If you increase the contrast, it looks very ugly. And that's what happens when we increase our contrast with other people. Actually, we create envy when we compare ourselves with somebody who has more. Or sometimes it produces pride when we compare ourselves with somebody who has less. Brightness means putting too much light on something or somebody. So sometimes when we increase the light too much, we will do hero worship. Hero worship means we like somebody or we like ourselves. Or sometimes we reduce the light on somebody. Actually, that person is a nice person. But just because we don't like him, we take away the light from him and we do so much fault finding, we actually make him a demon. And volume increase and lowering, I'm comparing it to boasting about yourself. And sometimes we reduce the volume of somebody, that what we do is we make a person depressed or we induce guilt in that person. We speak in such a way that that person feels guilty. And change channel button, I'm comparing it to whatever you're doing right now, distract yourself from the present to something imaginary, but it could be positive, or distract yourself from the present to something imaginary, negative. So if you see here, there are some positive things. Planning for the future can be a positive thing, but over analyzing the past can be a negative thing. At the same time, all of us have gone through history textbooks. So history means you go through what has happened in the past and you learn from it so that you don't repeat it. So in that sense, history is good. And if somebody is not planning for the future, there is no deadline, there is no active plan. It's just daydreaming. So even that is not good. So in this way, you can see how the mind has tremendous power, like the remote control. The remote control is a great device. It has a lot of power, but how do you use it? When you change channel, do you change channel to something good or do you change channel to something negative? There are a lot of channels on the television. You can go to National Geographic and learn about something about this world. You can go to History Channel and you can learn about the great wars that some people have fought. Or you can go to some other channel and waste your time. So in this way, basically we saw some challenging aspects of the mind, we saw some positive aspects of the mind, and now we are putting them together in one analogy that mind can be considered to be a remote control. So with this background now, we'll give some tips to move from distraction to focus. So basically this is some fundamental things to deal with the mind. How can we deal with this powerful chanchalam, pramathi, balavat and dridam mind? So in the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a book that we usually read in ISKCON, there is an analogy in the 11th canto. So there is a conversation between King Yadu and one Brahman. And this Brahman says, actually, I have 24 gurus. Now, when we talk of a guru, we have just talked of one or maybe two. But this person says, I have 24 gurus. And one of those 24 gurus is an arrow maker. So what he says is, one time I saw an arrow maker. He was making an arrow. And he was in a marketplace. Bazarat basla hota. And he was so busy making that arrow. This Brahman says, actually nearby, the king's procession passed. So king's procession passed means समोर वाद्य वाजवणारे, त्याचे सैनिक, त्याचे मंत्री, एक खूप मोठा ग्रुप असतो राजाचा. So he's saying this whole king's procession passed. There was music, there were soldiers, and there were some people who did a lot of discipline. Bazula whare, kuthe tumi madhe yetaय, like that. But he said, I never saw this arrow maker even realize that the king is passing by. Why? Because this arrow maker was completely focused on making his arrow. So the arrow maker did not even notice that the king is passing from nearby. This is an example that this Brahman gives to King Yadu, that he is my guru for maintaining focus. Of course, we know this famous example of Arjun in his childhood days. One time Dronacharya called all these boys and said he had put a wooden parrot on the tree branch. And he asked everyone. So somebody said, I see the tree. Somebody said, I see the branch. Somebody said, I see the leaves. None of them were allowed to shoot the arrow. He said, no, no, you're too distracted. When Arjun came, Arjun said, I only see the eye of the bird. It was a wooden bird. And it is this time that the Dronacharya said, shoot. And actually, Arjun shot. So the point of this story is when you're focused on something, actually everything else becomes unimportant. So this is Niagara Falls, very famous place. On the left side is America, and on the right side is Canada. So this is on the border of America and Canada. And we see how the distance is roughly 550 meters between these 2 points. And there is this person, Nick Wallenda. You can check about him on the internet. And he actually walked on a rope that was tied between these 2 points. So half a kilometer, this rope is there, and his height is 53 meters. So he'll basically drown. So he's saying, after he walked on this rope, which is almost impossible, but he said, I think that in our walk, there's so many distractions in this world trying to pull us left and right, trying to distract you. It's about focusing on the other side, staying focused on our goal. So when he started from the left side, America, when he wanted to go to Canada, he is saying, I did not look at the obstacles. He did not look at the water. He did not look at the downfall. He was basically focusing on the goal. So in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, shloka number 66, purport, there is a very beautiful line by Srila Prabhupada. He says, actually, disturbance in our mind is due to the want of an ultimate goal. Till the time we do not have an ultimate goal in life, what is the purpose of life? We earn money, we eat, we travel, we do so many things. Sometimes we do social service, sometimes we do recreation, we do entertainment, we do traveling, vacation. But these are all very small goals. For example, if I'm hungry, then my small goal is to fill my stomach, so I eat. If I'm getting bored with my life, then I go for a vacation. But how long do we stay on a vacation? After 4 or 5 days, the vacation also becomes boring. And then we say, let's come back. So here it is mentioned that disturbance in our life is basically due to want of an ultimate goal. And that's why the first tip to move from distraction to focus is we all have to find our own purpose. Our activities may be different, but what is it that is driving us? What is our motivation? Where do we want to reach in life? Some people could say, I want to become the richest man in my town. Some people could say, I want to be the healthiest man in my town. Some people could say, I want to be the most famous doctor that if anybody comes to me, he has to go cured. So all of us have our own goals. And to the extent to which we are pursuing these goals, to that extent, we won't get deflected by what is happening around us. We remember this example, how in the childhood, we used to have a magnifying glass as kids, and then we can burn paper with that magnifying glass. So what the magnifying glass does is it concentrates the sun rays and puts it at a spot and it burns. Actually, the sun rays are always there, but the point is to concentrate them. Similarly, we have a lot of energy in us, and that energy is always there, but many of the times it is scattered. Light is scattered. Similarly, our energy is scattered. And when you focus all your energy at a center point, at one point, if you can really do that, what is the purpose? What is my purpose in life? So all of us need to find a purpose in our life, and then everything else needs to be aligned as per that purpose. All of us, we love to ride a fast horse. Even if we don't like to ride, we love to watch. And I know so many people, when they go to some hill station or something, when they see a horse, even if that horse is an old horse and he's not going to run, but they still want to ride that horse. So a horse is very attractive. The speed, the energy, the strength, and the beauty of the horse is really very nice. It's very attractive animal. But before we can ride a horse, there is something that needs to be done. Before riding a horse, that horse needs to be trained. Just like all of us do not like to be shackled, all of us do not like to be bound by rules. Actually, we don't even have so much strength like a horse. Can you imagine the raw strength of a horse? And if somebody tries to control, and look at the size of the horse and look at the size of the man, actually one or two kicks and everything can get destroyed. But no, the human being, in a very intelligent way, he tries to control the horse. And all of us are aware of horse races. So all of us know that this huge animal with so much energy and can run fast is actually tamed by human beings. So what is it called? In their own terms, it is called breaking the horse. त्याच्यामध्ये जी स्वैराचाराची जी भावना आहे, when he wants to run, he will run. When he wants to sit down, he will sit down. When he wants to eat, he will eat. So this habit has to be broken. In fact, every animal which is caught and put into the circus, there is something called as breaking the horse that needs to be done. Imagine a lion that is brought to a circus. He's not obviously going to listen to the ringmaster, but then the ringmaster first starves the lion. जेव्हा पोटातच काही जात नाही तेव्हा तो शांत होतो. So similarly, this is breaking the horse. You make it run, you make it at the whip. The horse trainer will whip and the horse starts obeying. Similarly, we have to also break the horse. Our mind is a mighty horse. It won't listen to us. It is chanchal, it is dridam, it is balavat, it is pramathi. It won't listen to us. So how do we break the horse of the mind? First is, whenever we talk about the mind, we talk in the first person. Me vyakul ahe. I am very much in anxiety. No, you are not in anxiety. Your mind is in anxiety. आज मला बरं नाही वाटत आहे. No, you are not like that. Your mind is disturbed because of some situation. Maybe somebody spoke to you, maybe somebody misbehaved with you. So first point is, instead of embracing the mind as yourself, you have to learn to treat the mind as a separate entity. We'll go to this picture. This picture, actually, the horse rider and the horse are one. The speed of the horse is the speed of the horse rider. If you see, at this moment, the horse has made a jump. And if you see, the horse rider is also in a standing position. It is also in a jumping position. So in that sense, everything that the horse is doing, the horse rider is also doing. But still, there will always be a difference. We will always say horse rider and horse. There are two personalities. Similarly, we have to see, my whole life, I may be treating myself as one with the mind, but no. That's why I've mentioned the word horse in a bracket with a different color. So don't let the jockey, don't let the horse trainer identify himself with the horse. You ride together, your speed is together, you jump together, but still you are different. So first step, treat the mind as a separate entity, as a horse. Study your mind, horse, as a detached observer. When does the horse start getting irritated? Similarly, study when your mind gets irritated. So I know one of my friends, if he does not get his food on time, he becomes highly irritated. वेळेवर जेवायला नाही मिळालं तर त्याला जवळ जाऊ शकत नाही. Sometimes, it happens that some people have a bad temper, and maybe it could be related to sleep. So जर झोप नसेल झाली, मग दिवसभर चिडचिड. And then people don't understand, अरे I don't know, this person was such a nice person. I don't know why he's talking like this. Basically, झोप नाही झाली आहे, बरोबर. So sometimes the trigger may be lot of hunger. Sometimes maybe it is lack of sleep, different things. But we need to study our mind, and studying mind is possible only when you see it as a separate entity. When you study your mind, then you note down behavior of your mind in different situations. And then comes the most important part of breaking the horse. आता समजलं की याला काय आवडतं, याला काय नाही आवडत, हा कोणासोबत कसा वागतो. And the fourth point is teach your mind, the horse, some manners. So our whole life, actually, we never ever saw our mind as a separate entity. We always misidentified ourselves with the mind. But it's very interesting. 6th chapter, shloka number 4 or 5. The first few shlokas, Krishna says, Bandhur atmatmanastasya yenaiva atmana jita anatmanastu shatrutve vartet atmaiva shatruvat. So Krishna says, actually, your mind can be your best friend, or your mind can be your worst enemy. If you can control your mind, then it becomes your best friend, bandhu. And if you don't control your mind, vartet atmaiva shatruvat. So Krishna is one, he is basically giving us this hint. Don't identify yourself with the mind. Treat it like another person. So it could be your best friend, it could be your worst enemy. And I really took this as a hint of breaking the horse. So I got this analogy of the horse from the Srimad Bhagavatam shloka. Esha vai paramo yogo manasa sangraha smrita hridayagyatvam anvikshan damya sevar vato muhu. So this is Lord Krishna speaking to Uddhav in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Krishna is saying, an expert horseman desiring to tame a headstrong horse first lets the horse have his way for a moment, and then pulling the reins gradually places the horse on the desired path. Similarly, the supreme yoga process is that by which one carefully observes the movements and desires of the mind and gradually brings them under full control. So निरीक्षण हे खूप महत्वाचं आहे. निरीक्षण नंतर आपल्याला समजतं की काय योग्य काय अयोग्य, त्याच्यानंतर आपण योग्य सवयी लावू शकतो. So this is something which Lord Krishna is mentioning to us in the Srimad Bhagavatam, and we can learn from this. So even if you understand this one point of disassociating yourself from the mind, it can help us a lot. Okay. So the next point, 1.01 raised to 365 is 37.8, and just a little bit less than that is 0.99, which again raised to 365 is 0.03. So my question to you is, why is there 365 in this calculation? Anybody wants to unmute and speak? Why not 1.01 raised to 36? Why not 1.01 raised to 700?
Days in 1 year.
Yes, yes. So basically the hint is not just to teach you mathematics here. The hint is that there's 365 days. So whatever we are doing right now, what if we make a small change in what we are doing right now? And we do it for 365 days. So if we do it for 365 days, it can become a big change. And what if we neglect and we just do a small mistake? We are neglectful for a small degree, but we are neglectful for 365 days. Where do we go to? 0.03. And if we can improve a little bit, 0.01, if we can improve, but we do it for 365 days, we can go to 37.8. So that is the important point here. So in our life, actually small changes can lead to big effects. And you can see in the screen how something starts very small, but it has a big effect. So if we find it very difficult to break the horse, we can begin with replacing our habits. So if we can identify some habits that need a change, then there is a habit change flow. First point is we have to identify and we have to take responsibility. We have to take responsibility that this habit needs to be changed. मला खोटं बोलायची सवय आहे, ती खोटं बोलायची सवय मला चेंज करावी लागणार. मला खाल्ल्यानंतर हात धुणे याची सवय नाहीये, ती सवय मला चेंज करावी लागणार. वॉट एव्हर, वी नीड टू आयडेंटिफाय and we need to take responsibility, and then we need to do a small change in ourselves. And the third most important point is that small change needs consistency. So when we do a small change over a period of time, then the mind gets used, to changing. The mind gets used to do what it has never done. This is very important. So in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehina raso varjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. So Krishna gives this idea, though the embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, the taste for sense objects remains. But seizing such engagements by experiencing a higher taste is fixed in consciousness. So here, Krishna is giving this point of replacing with positive alternatives. So the example is, if we are drinking water, we are very thirsty, and somebody gives us lemon juice, then that lemon juice is much higher than the water, and we will never even look at water. Similarly, in our life, we are used to something. पूर्ण आयुष्य एक गोष्ट करत आलोय, पण त्याच्यापेक्षा जास्ती आनंद देणारी शुद्ध वस्तू जर आपल्याला मिळाली, then just based on that higher taste, we can give up the lower taste, and we don't even have to look. So when it's difficult to stop doing something, but if we replace it with a positive habit, then it will be very nice and it will be very doable. So this is the third tip. And sometimes, in our lives today, especially this COVID times, there is so much screen time. Actually, there is too much mental fatigue. There is so much to be done. And just because people are working from home, so now employers, they are demanding much more from them. They are saying, anyway, you are not doing any traveling. घर पे ही बैठे हैं, घरीच बसलायस, तर थोडं अजून काम कर. There's too much mental fatigue actually. There's so many things going on. We actually get exhausted. So I know people, they hardly travel physically. So दिवसभरानंतर हॉस्पिटल मधून जेव्हा घरी येतात, प्रवास काहीच नाही केलाय, हॉस्पिटलमध्ये प्रवास जास्ती नाही केलाय, पण जेव्हा रात्री किंवा संध्याकाळी थोडे बसतात, तेव्हा ते completely exhausted. Just like some salesman gets exhausted traveling all over the district. Similarly, some people, because it's mental fatigue. You're dealing with problems of people. You're dealing with diseases of people. So psychiatrists and doctors who are always listening to problems of people, they actually get fatigued very faster. So the fourth tip is slow down to speed up. What does it mean? It means any one of you, if you sometimes got late, if you try to catch a running train, it's extremely risky and we should not do it. But even if you say, no, I have a good speed and I will do it and this and that, but it's extremely risky. Please do not board a running train. If you fall, you are gone. And if you're not able to do it, even if you get caught in the gap in between, then it can be a big disaster. But basically, don't try to catch a running train. Similarly, my dear friends, actually our mind is always running very fast. And because it is running fast, it already has a speed, it already is doing something. And when we try to do something else, we try to give it some good habits or something like that, sometimes it becomes extremely challenging. So what we have to do is, instead of boarding a running train, we have to catch the next train, or giving an example that we have to slow down to speed up. What does it mean? I know our lives are very busy, but we have to find some time for some yoga, some pranayam, some exercise. And sometimes, in this fast paced world, when we are always running here and there, even within the hospital, even within the clinic, actually it becomes very difficult to have a slow pace. But some time of the day, half an hour or 1 hour, we need to actually slow down our pace. And then because of that, this whole mind traffic that is going on at fast speed, actually it will slow down. And when it slows down, then you can actually do something. You can board that train and you can achieve a lot. So the train, if you want to board the train, it has to basically slow down at the station. And once the passengers have boarded the train, after that, the train can speed up. So the train also slows down to speed up. Similarly, in our lives also, we have to slow down to speed up. So the summary is, first we saw the challenges of the mind, how there is so much traffic of the mind. And we saw Chanchalam Himana Krishna Pramati Balavat Dridam. And we saw what is Chanchal, Pramati, Balavat and Drida. And we saw the positive side of the mind, that even if the spelling was wrong, the mind could decode it. And then we saw this remote control example, that now it is up to us which buttons we press for a positive effect or a negative effect. And then we saw some tips. So first is, we need to find our purpose. Obstacles are those things that we see when we lose sight of the goal. The second point, we saw how the most important thing is, we need to disassociate from the mind. I am not the mind. I have a mind, and that's why I can discipline the mind. But then some identification, some observation, some notes, and then some disciplining. And if that is very difficult, actually we should, give the mind in a very natural way. We should give it some positive alternatives. And even if that is not possible, then at least we should slow down for some time. Train is not always running at slow speed. Only at the station it reduces its speed. So at least half an hour or 1 hour in a day, we should slow down, board the train, and then whole day we can speed up. So these are 4 points from my side for moving from distraction to focus. If anybody has any questions, then we can unmute and have some questions.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Yes, Dr. Deepali, you wanted to ask something?
Yes, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, you told about the consistency. So, how to maintain the consistency? Because whenever we listen to positive things, we try to make the changes very fast, but we don't find the results very fast. So we have to be very consistent, but it's very difficult um, to be consistent all the time. So how we can achieve the consistency?
Yeah, the simplest answer for maintaining consistency from my side is, find somebody who is doing what you are trying to do. That's the easiest way to maintain consistency. Any one of you, if you are into health, if somebody is into jogging, then you can check with that person that how many days will you jog on your own. Those who are running, those who are into cycling, you can check with them. If somebody wants to share their experience, I know some of you are cyclists. Dr. Harke, I know he sometimes goes for a morning jogging, or he goes for cycling and all that. You can ask him. That usually all these things where you're training yourself, they become difficult over a period of time. And only if you have a partner, then these things go on. So for yoga, for cycling, for jogging, for running, for walking, morning walk, if there is somebody who's there with you, some partner is there, then even if sometimes we are lax, sometimes we are lazy, then we'll receive a wake up call. अरे आज जायचं आहे ना आपल्याला चालायला जायचं आहे आज सायकलिंग साठी जायचं आहे. And that's how it goes on. But without a partner, all these things become difficult. So consistency, the easiest way to maintain consistency, the easiest way to do something on a daily basis is find a partner. Find somebody who's also interested in that. And from a philosophical perspective, I mentioned small change. So that small change, if you do a small change, you can notice the difference over a period of time. सुरुवातीला फरक नाही जाणवत कारण स्मॉल चेंज येतो. तर आपला कल कसा असतो, जनरली अवर इन्क्लिनेशन इज वी वॉन्ट ए big change in short time, and that's why when we try to do something big, it usually fails. I remember, with my friends, some of them would go to the gym, and on the first day, instead of doing some warm up exercise, anybody who goes to the gym, they know this, a typical gym, first 15-20 minutes they will ask you to do some warm up. They will ask you to jog on the spot, and they will ask you to raise your thighs to a high position, all that, simple flexibility for the body first. And I remember how so many of my friends, when they would go to the gym, instead of doing some flexibility exercises, instead of little bit of bending of the back and bending to the sides and these kind of simple exercises, they would straight go to the place where there would be dumbbells kept, and they would start lifting the dumbbells, and the gym instructor would come and say, it is not like that. It's not that the first day, first minute you go to the gym and start picking up the dumbbells. You first need to create a body. You first need to prepare for it. So small changes is not our inclination. Our inclination is big changes, short time. But actually what works is small changes over a period of time, because small changes means you don't even understand that there is a change, small change. So I had some statistic that, there is this airline in America, Southwestern Airlines, and the Southwestern Airlines, they serve sandwiches. So in that sandwiches, they put olive slices. So they decided, they were having less money, and they decided that we will put one olive less in the sandwich. Some tomato slices, some cucumber slices, some celery, some carrot, and some olive. So they decided one olive they will put less. And over a period of 1 year, I don't remember the amount, but they saved a significant amount of money just by reducing one olive, small olive per sandwich. So in this way, small changes, but when they are raised to 365, when they are done over a period of time, actually they can lead to a lot of changes. I'll give you a last example. One person, he used to smoke a lot. I don't remember the exact number, but this person, let's say he used to smoke 20 cigarettes per day. And when he met Srila Prabhupada, who founded the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, some of the other disciples of Prabhupada, they told this person, you should immediately quit smoking cigarettes. Why are you smoking cigarettes? It's not good for your health, and like that. But when he met Prabhupada, Prabhupada told him, can you do this thing that tomorrow you smoke one cigarette less? So for some days he was smoking 19 cigarettes. Then Prabhupada told him one more cigarette less. And for some days he was smoking 18 cigarettes, and like that. And over a period of time, very easily, very smoothly, without making a big issue, he completely quit smoking cigarettes. So, this is how we basically do small changes over a period of time. And that is why that mathematical thing was very important. So I hope this answers your question.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.